How's it going, guys, and welcome to Out of Bounds. I'm your host, James Skrmetta. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you so much. I know 30 minutes of sports talk, you could have spent that absolutely anywhere with anybody, but instead you chose to do it here, and for that I appreciate every single second. This show, per usual, stacked. You know that. Last time we were going to talk about a concussion situation in the NFL. We're going to get into that. We're going to get in there like swimwear, but first, where can you find the show? Good question. I've got good answers. You can find the show on iTunes. You can search James Skrmetta, S-K-R-M-E-T-T-A. Or you can go to the Stitcher app for your phone. The future of radio, you can go to Stitcher. We partnered with them. They are bringing us, they find podcasts for you. It's not like iTunes where everyone can be on there. Stitcher, you have to apply for, you have to be accepted into it, and they tailor-make your profile to find podcasts that you will like. And people like Bill Simmons, Mark Maron, Nerdist, they're all on there competing with Shaboy. So I'd appreciate it if you went on there, rated, reviewed, commented, all that stuff. And also you can find the simulcast version, the video version of the show on YouTube. Just go to YouTube, type my name, James Skrmetta, boom. You'll find my channel, subscribe, and every Monday and Friday you will get an episode of Out of Bounds, and every Tuesday you'll get an episode of the James Skrmetta Experience, a good old-fashioned weekly news recap done in the Saturday Night Live Weekend Update kind of theme. The Norm Macdonald kind, and the Dennis Miller kind, not the new kind. But let's talk about it. Right now we're going to go over what we said was going to happen Friday and what came to fruition over the weekend. Derrick Henry won the Heisman. Not surprised. We said on the show he probably was going to win it. And we also said that, look, with those numbers and with that year, you can't hate that. You can't hate it. What's crazy is his year was way better than Mark Ingram's. Mark Ingram's. Way better than Mark Ingram's. And Mark Ingram won the Heisman. And Derrick Henry's year is almost exactly the same as Toby Gerhart, who lost the Heisman to Mark Ingram. So an interesting way of looking at things. Could there be a race issue with running backs, with white running backs? Yes, I believe there always has been. You hear words like high motor, could be a fullback, hard-nosed. You don't hear words like dynamic and stuff like that with running backs like Christian McCaffrey, Toby Gerhart. But Gerhart had about 1,900 yards and 28 touchdowns the year he got second in the Heisman. Henry this year has about 1,900 yards and 25 touchdowns. So, I don't want to get into a big race debate here, but there is something to think about in that world. If McCaffrey played in the SEC, would he have won the Heisman? Or was it strictly a Peyton Hillis kind of deal where Peyton Hillis leads the league in rushing, a year later he gets shipped to Cleveland, and after that he's gone forever. People did everything they could to move him to fullback, but they could not. So it's something to think about. But I'm not taking anything away from Derrick Henry. He deserved the Heisman. He had a hell of a year. McCaffrey, I don't think he had enough touchdowns. The yards were incredible, but I think that if he would have had more touchdowns, maybe just 5 more touchdowns to add, if he had somewhere around 20 total touchdowns instead of 13, I think he could have held the Heisman. But Henry's a hell of a player for a great team. That 7-game stretch where he was averaging 180 yards a game, out of control. The whole thing of should Saban run him as much as he does. Personally, I think Saban and teams like that look at the game as kind of a business. They're not really worried about Derrick Henry, his workload. They're just week to week winning and winning and winning. If that is what makes you win, then damn it, that's what they're going to do. So can't blame Saban, but congratulations to Derrick Henry. We are not surprised. We are surprised with the way the UFC fights worked out. If you paid for them, sorry, but you got a 10-second fight that took 10 years to make. Conor McGregor knocked out Jose Aldo with the very first punch thrown in the fight. Quickest title defense in UFC history. McGregor called his shot, said he was going to knock him out, and there's something to it, man. There's something to McGregor, and it's weird because I'll tell you a little story, a little background on Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor was a plumber's son in Ireland. He was working as a plumber, and his dad, said he would never amount to anything, whatever. And McGregor, I believe it was his sister, it might have been a sister or a girlfriend, got him the book, The Secret. And McGregor took it to heart. And if you've never read The Secret, it's about laws of attraction, about like positive thinking, and if you think things, and if you see things, and you believe things, then you'll put out energy that attracts those things to your life. So if you're sitting there thinking that you'll do something, you will succeed at a certain thing, and you visualize it, you burn it into your mind, and you really work at it, like you're thinking it, and you speak it, it'll happen, or you'll be put in the position for it to happen. And it's on Netflix if you don't want to read the book, and I watched the documentary, and it's an interesting concept. It's just like anything else. It's you could punch holes in it or whatever, but McGregor took it to heart. So McGregor started seeing these things and believing, and I remember hearing a story where when he was driving around like his busted old car, he would grip the wheel and he would close his eyes and he would say he was driving a Ferrari. He would say that he's doing this. He would say he's driving all these things, and it all came true. And he believes, they call him Mystic Mac, because he truly believes that whatever he sees and whatever he thinks, it comes true. And in the past 3 or 4 fights, it has. And it's been kind of crazy because he predicts the round. He predicts what's going to happen. Like he said, I'm going to knock Jose Aldo out in the first round with a punch. He said, I see my fist going through his head at about 100 miles an hour. And that's exactly what happened. The fight before, he called exactly when he was going to knock out his opponent. I mean, it's just what he does. And it's this crazy thing where I don't know if he's got some crazy mojo. Maybe it does work. Maybe he's playing at a different thing. He thinks things differently. He sees things differently. He's attacking training, and he's attacking the whole art completely differently. Something that no one has seen before. And it's pretty refreshing just as a human being to see someone say, look, man, if you believe it, if you speak it, if you see it, it'll happen. And McGregor made it happen, and he's riding on a roller coaster that no one could have seen coming. 7 wins in the UFC, 7-0. Now he's the champion. First time in that division's history that Jose Aldo is not the champion. Very impressive stuff. I did not pay for the fight. I watched the fight on Twitter. Like I just saw the Vine of it, or when I was out. I had a thing to do, so I couldn't watch the fight. As far as how we did, let's jump into how we did. We are filming this show a little early. There's a wrestling pay-per-view tonight, and I do watch professional wrestling, so I can't wait until the night game's over to film the podcast like usual. It's only once a month, so all we're missing is the afternoon game and the Sunday night game. So in the morning game, we had Buffalo over Buffalo over Philly. That did not work out. Philly won. Philly's rolling. Like Sam Bradford, man, I cannot get him. He's not good. I know he's not good. But Philly now is winning. Bradford is somehow kind of keeping the car on the road, even though his wheels are flat. I have no idea how he's going to do it. He definitely ain't going to the playoffs. I mean, he's not going into deep into the playoffs. He just doesn't have the ability. I don't know what it is. I don't know if the offense just isn't right for him. They never look right. Like Philly never looks like, oh, this is Philly. This is what Chip Kelly wants. This is it. It's always like, I don't think this is. It looks pretty ugly. It's kind of off the rails, but hey, they got a win against Buffalo, and that's not easy to do. Then we had the San Francisco-Cleveland under 41.5. That hit. San Fran couldn't score. Cleveland took care of business, and that was an easy cover. Johnny Manziel doing Johnny Manziel things. Prepare yourself. You're going to hear this a lot in the media. Before the game, he was signing $100 bills. Like, from the fans were giving him $100 bills. He was signing them, and people in the pregame shows were blasting him. I just don't get it. Like, I don't understand, number one, why you blast the guy. He didn't bring the $100 bills. The fan said, hey, autograph this. He's doing it. Who cares what it is? Who cares if it's a piece of paper, a $100 bill, a bottle of vodka, a baby? Who cares what it is? And they're making a huge deal about it. I guarantee you, if you listen to any other show, they're going to be destroying Manziel for it. Look, let the kid go play. Let the kid go play. I don't understand where these people are coming up with this thing that Manziel has to be this kind of player. That's not how it works. No one else is under that kind of scrutiny. No one else is, hey, you've got to do this, or if you do this. I mean, Johnny Manziel, got in trouble this whole thing for holding a bottle of alcohol, not breaking any rules, not doing anything wrong. He's under supervision like he's a high schooler. So, but he played well. He played well, and it looks like he'll be the starter for the rest of the year in Cleveland. There was no reason to take him out now. McCown's not taking that spot. And obviously, Davis, they're seeing what Manziel has. And I think at the end of the year, there will be – what I think is going on is I think they're letting Manziel play. They're hoping he plays really well so they can ship him off. That's what I think they want to do. And if Dallas will give him a 4th-round pick or whatever, sayonara. That's what I would get rid of him. But so we were 1-1 in the early games. We have Oakland, Denver under 43.5. It was 12-0 at the half, Denver's way. So that's looking good. It looks like that should cover. Now that I said that, though, I'm sure it won't. But then we have New England in the night game and the Giants on Monday night. So we have that going on, and so we did pretty well. You can't argue with that. We kind of saw things happening, and the Saints got a big win. They're now 5-8. Went on the road, beat Tampa Bay, a divisional opponents. So they split on the regular season. They lost at home to Tampa Bay, beat them on the road. And this weekend I was out, and I was talking to a bunch of friends of mine. We were talking about the Saints and talking about the game, and I've never heard so many people kind of backlash on the whole Drew Brees thing. And if you didn't listen to Friday's show, we talked about how people, especially in New Orleans sports journalism, like the columnists and radio people, they want to bench Brees for the rest of the season and play Garrett Grayson. And I said on this show, the only show that matters, that was laughable. Like, why would you do that? It makes no sense. Like, why would you take this guy who you're putting so much money into when you're still mathematically in a playoff hunt? I mean, they're mathematically could get the wild card. And I know they got to do a lot of stuff. They got to win pretty much the rest of their games. But there's a playoff chance with this team. And they want to take Brees out and put Grayson, a rookie, who you have no clue what is going on. Like, you have no idea if he can play. You're just going to throw him out to the wolves and see what happens. And so I said it was a joke. And I said, it's a clown move. I said, if you're saying that, don't say it in public. You're going to embarrass yourself. And I was trying to educate the Saints fans. Well, I show up, I go out, and everyone's saying that they should bench Brees. And I'm sitting there, and I'm saying, what? Did you not listen to the show? Do I got to say all this stuff again? So they basically got a live version of the show. But they're under this idea that the only way to see what Grayson's got, the only way to figure things out for the future is to just push Garrett Grayson, a 3rd-round draft pick, just throw him out to the wolves in the middle of a mathematical playoff race while the best quarterback in that franchise's existence and one of the best quarterbacks in the past 10 years sits on the bench. Totally healthy. Don't understand it at all. I do understand trying to trade Brees. I do understand trying to get rid of Brees so that you don't get hit with the cap, you don't get hit with the money. I still believe that you got to keep Drew Brees. It's just like Kobe Bryant with the Lakers, Derek Jeter with the Yankees. Kobe's last contract was not because they thought that Kobe was going to be great for the contract. It was a thank you for what you've done contract. Drew Brees has totally transformed New Orleans. He's transformed the city. He's transformed the team. He's transformed the culture. He got them a Super Bowl title. He's brought them to NFC Championship games. He beat Brett Favre. He's won the division. He breaks records. What else do you want the man to do? And you're going to bench this guy just because the team's kind of struggling for Garrett Grayson? Look, I know, okay? I know, Saints fans. You want something to happen. Your Sundays are boring because you're watching a team who you don't think is very good. They're not very good, but they're not supposed to be good. No one walked into the season saying, this is a Super Bowl championship team. Let's ride the wave. Let's go win the championship with Benjamin Watson and Willie Snead. No one thought that. Some guys are playing over their head, Willie Snead. We lost Ingram for the year, who was having a good year. And Brees is running around with a makeshift pirate cast. I mean, his crew is just random. Like, it's almost like the replacements. Watson is playing with all heart. He's no Rob Gronkowski. He's having a career year. Willie Snead, I don't know if I would know Willie Snead if he walked in here and stole my lights. We got C.J. Spiller, whose hamstring at any given moment could explode into the fifth row. Brandon Cook still can't figure out what. He needs to just take his shoes off and go home. He's not the guy. Marcus Colston, 206 years old, and Breeze is making these guys fight. We almost damn near beat Carolina. Carolina, who dog stomps everyone they're playing. We almost beat them. We go on the road and beat Tampa Bay. Beat Atlanta at home. Beat Dallas at home. The team can play. Like, the team is playing hard, and it's time for the fans to sit back and kind of respect what they're doing. Give them their dues, especially Drew Brees. Especially Drew Brees. I mean, the guy who took a chance, came to New Orleans, and turned the whole damn thing around. So I think it's time to put the Garrett Grayson stuff to bed. I cannot believe twice in the same year I have to defend Brees against Luke McCown and Garrett Grayson. This is crazy. I mean, I don't think this is Brees' last year by any means. I think he'll be back next year. So let's say you do start Grayson, and let's say Grayson is the man, and you can't trade Brees. What are you going to do then? You're going to have to sit Grayson. You're never, ever going to start Garrett Grayson over Drew Brees. It's not going to happen. Like, when Brady got the start, Bledsoe was gone. It wasn't a deal where they were like, oh, let's try out Tom Brady, and then if Bledsoe sticks around for a few more years, we can rotate him. It doesn't work. So I think you need to give Brees his due, give him a little bit more time, and let's not rush Grayson out there, who I don't think is the answer anyways. If it was Bryce Petty, though, I might have a different take on the whole thing. Last topic. Let's get a little nuts. This is going to be controversial. All right, we're going to say stuff. This is what they call in the business hot takes. Hot takes only, hot take zone. If you're wearing a sweatshirt, sweater, scarf, get it off. It's about to get hot in here. There's a movie coming out starring Will Smith, who we love, big fan. It's about concussions. Strictly about concussions in the NFL. And there was a lot of controversy with this movie because people were saying there's no way in hell the NFL is going to let this movie. Like, how are they going to show commercials for this movie? They can't show them. Is Fox going to show them in the middle of Sunday? Is ESPN going to show them? And this is where it really blurred the line of, okay, ESPN's in a multi-billion with a B, multi-billion-dollar deal with the NFL. They're in the bed with the NFL for billions of dollars. Fox, same thing. All these channels, same thing. So if I rolled up to you and said, hey, you know that company you're worth billions of dollars invested in? I'm making a movie that's going to spit right in their face. You mind if I get a primetime slot to advertise this thing? I mean, they're going to advertise it in the Super Bowl? Would they? That's the question. And the concussion thing has been a problem in the NFL forever. Recently, real bad, with Junior Seau and with other athletes coming out and retiring early, or you see violence or tragedy because of head injuries and because of mental illness brought on by head injuries. The game is getting faster. Players are getting faster and stronger, and collisions are worse. They say it's like if you're getting tackled a few times, it's like getting in 5 or 6 car accidents. So it's an issue. It is an issue. There's no doubt about it. There's no one that you should be listening to that can tell you that there's not a serious problem with head injuries and danger and risk with the NFL. So the whole thing is there's a war on football. There's a war on football, specifically with kids. Back in the day, and y'all know that the Lavish Studios here is in South Mississippi. So we're in the heart of, the right. And we're in the heart of, by the time you're 3 or 4 years old, you got a football in your hand. That's just how it is. You vote Republican, you play football, roll tide. Like that mindset. And the thought of not letting your kids play football because it could be dangerous is something that's so foreign down here, I might be the first person that's ever said it. If anyone hears me say that in South Mississippi, I may be kicked out like Simba, and I might have to go live with a meerkat. But I'm saying it right here to y'all. If I had kids, right now, if I had, let's just say, a 5-year-old, I wouldn't let him play tackle football. Bottom line. Wouldn't let him do it. And I think that I'm not alone in that. And I think that football is going to go slowly the way of boxing, where it's going to be one of those deals where people just don't do it anymore. Kids just don't do it anymore. They don't want to. They don't have to. You know, it's not this stereotypical, like, the cool kids play football. You don't have to anymore. You're not expected to. And my high school doesn't exist anymore, but the high school in my hometown that is now what my high school is merged into, this past year in the football team, they had like 20 kids on the entire team. And they're a big school. The kids just don't play. The kids just don't want to play. And that's just how it's going to be. I think that football is going to have a real hard time with the way that head injuries and the way that all that stuff's going forward. If more studies come out and you're sitting there saying, I've got a 7-year-old playing Little League football, tackle football with other 7-year-olds, and at 7 years old, they're just getting blasted with headshots. And I mean, it's not like they're all form tackling, perfect technique. They're getting busted up and their heads rocking around, and God knows what's happening. And look, this isn't just football, okay? If you go ride dirt bikes, it's the same deal. If you go skateboard, same deal. There's always risk involved. But how many kids do you see riding dirt bikes and skateboarding? How many kids do you see doing these high-risk things? I mean, baseball, basketball, those sports are much less contact than football. And that's soccer. That's what kids will be playing. That's what'll slowly move towards that. Because back in the day, your best player played running back all through high school pretty much. You know, unless you were like a huge high school with people that can catch and throw, your best player is usually the running back. And running backs in the NFL have about a 3-year lifespan. You know, it's just not a smart thing. Like, it's not a smart thing to think, I'm going to play running back. Kids don't want to do that anymore. So your best athletes are playing different sports, they're doing different things. They just don't want the grind. They don't want the grind of football. They don't want they don't want to get hit. And I don't blame them. Just like boxing. Like back 40, 50 years ago, everybody boxed. Boxing was the biggest sport in the world. Now, who the hell wants to go get punched 200 times? I don't know anybody. I don't know a single person. I'm trying to think before I say it. I'm going to go ahead and say I don't know a single person who boxes or has boxed. Like personally, like a friend of mine. I know people have done like MMA, stuff like that. But strictly boxing and still boxes, no one. Because who wants to do that? You know? Just like boxing. The boxers now do MMA because you get hit a tenth of the amount, and it's just not the strain on your head. Like, look at Muhammad Ali. People don't want to be like that. You know, you see Junior Seau, and you see these athletes, and you see what they go through, and these stats and the studies are there. There is serious head trauma that goes with getting hit and getting in those collisions nonstop. And I think that what that's going to do is it's going to force football to find people that will play. And that's going to make the level of person, we've talked about this before, go down. You're going to see much more Greg Hardys. You're going to see much more people like that in the NFL because those are the only people that will play. That's why the NFL protects quarterbacks so much. Because they know that once the quarterback goes, once the glory position goes, the face of each team, once those go, and Tom Brady's and Peyton Manning's are no longer playing football, and they're replaced by people like Greg Hardy, Ray Rice in the quarterback position, and that's the face of these teams, the NFL is going to be in a real bad situation. Look, if you believe that the NFL is immortal, and football's king. I'm not saying football will go away, but when Mike Tyson was boxing, and if I told you in 20 years that boxing would be non-existent and no one would care about boxing and be completely irrelevant, you'd say it's the biggest thing in the world. Mike Tyson's arguably the, most popular person on earth. Well, not popular, but most known person on earth. It happens. It happens quick. When Michael Jordan was playing basketball, the Bulls, basketball is the hottest ticket in the world. What if I told you in 10 years, no one's really going to care? Because until LeBron, until that whole swing after Jordan, nobody cared. Like, nothing is immortal, and football is about to go on a war. It's about to be a battle. You're going to see it, not immediately, but you're going to see it with the kids. Go look around. Go talk to the people you know that has kids. How many of those kids are playing tackle football? You think those kids are going to start playing at 13, 14 years old, be good enough to go to the NFL? No, they aren't. I'm telling you. This concussion movie is just going to start the ball rolling. The more head injuries, the more suicides and deaths and all these problems, the more studies come out, the more these kids are not going to play football, and the more that football as a whole is going to dramatically change. The glorified years of the poster boy quarterback and all this image of the NFL will be gone, and it will be a gladiator sport. It'll go the way of boxing. I believe that will happen. I really do. Let me know what you think. This is a crazy subject. It's interesting to start the conversation now because it's a conversation that we won't know the answer for decades. You know, you really truly won't know until you can look back probably 15 years and see what the NFL is. But let me know what you think. Do you think football is in danger? Do you think the idea of head injuries and kids not wanting to play football and parents not wanting to put their kids in football and just the change of society as a whole, where you're not expected to play football and people don't. People just don't. Students just don't. Do you think that it's changing? Do you believe that football will take a hit, no pun intended, or do you believe that it's football, it's immortal, who cares, head injuries it's a risk you have to take, and football will stay the same forever? Let me know in the comments below, or let me know on Twitter or anything else. I'm really interested to hear what y'all have to say. But thank you guys for listening. That is the show. It's crazy how we nail these things. Like 30 minutes, we're there. You know, I can't wait until the show gets bigger and we can go to longer shows. But until then, guys, keep tuning in Mondays and Fridays for the best 30 minutes of sports talk you will find. Your local radio knows we're doing this. They know what we're doing. They know they cannot hang with the product that we're putting out there. Enjoy your Monday, guys. Enjoy the rest of your week. I am James Skrmetta, and this is another episode of Out of Bounds.